because I was actually diagnosed as a kid with ADHD. And a lot of these artificial dyes and colors can cause that and lead to that and contribute to that. I found that are really, really helpful and really effective. Not just for myself, going through this, but also a lot of the clients I've had. Something I found that's very effective for them and very helpful is honestly just realizing that.
What do you see as the most common characteristics that you see in people that succeed in building healthy habits? Hello, my name is Mafalda. I'm a health and performance coach. Welcome to podcast Super Us. Today we have the pleasure of having with us Roman Fischer. He's a high performance coach and he helps people with their fitness goals. Welcome, Roman. It's a pleasure having you here with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I can start asking you to share a little bit your personal journey and what specifically lead you to focus on fitness and also nutrition. And how did you start helping people with these two in these two areas?
Yeah, for sure. So, what got me into fitness initially, and just to eat healthier too, not just with working out, but also healthier eating and just a healthier lifestyle, were a few factors really. So, one of which being because I was always pretty skinny, my brother and I were always pretty skinny growing up throughout school. So, just seeing him pick up the weights and start weightlifting and make those changes to his body. Obviously, it wasn't overnight like most things, but seeing him make those changes from where he was, being more skinny, not so confident, and same with me, but then seeing, him make those changes and then seeing his energy shift, his physique change, seeing him gain that muscle, that strength, and just that overall confidence. That really inspired me actually to want to pick up the weights myself, start weightlifting, and really just changed my life from not being that active to being a lot more active and just a lot healthier with everyday, exercise. So seeing that really inspired me and pushed me into actually getting motivated to, yeah, pick up the weights finally. I'm like, if my younger brother can do it, I can do it as well. So I gotta try it. Yeah. And ever since I did it, I never stopped. And this was when I was, because I'm 26 now, so I started this literally 11 years ago now already. It's been 11 years since I started weightlifting. It's crazy. But yeah, I used to not care at all for fitness or weightlifting especially, but after that, after I really started giving it a valid effort, after getting that inspiration, encouragement, motivation, it was hard to quit, and I never quit since because you got all those endorphins. You get all those endorphins when you exercise. It becomes a healthy
Yeah.
addiction. So that was amazing, the feeling of it. And then two, just really researching what's in our foods because like most people, I was like most people, I would never ever, research what I'm eating, what I'm drinking, especially what's in it. Because a lot of the people, in America especially, I hate to say, not so much over there in Europe, but here we're so go, go, go. The 9 to 5,
Yeah.
9 to 5, just go, 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 just anything that's quick, easy, and convenient. That's what we're built on. And for better or worse, that's how our, society is here in America. But the problem is when you do that and you're always constantly just go, go, go on the run, on the move, 9 to 5, all that stuff, you're not going to care about your health as much. And you won't see it as much as a priority because you're always worrying about work, bills, etc. So that really does make it hard to focus on your health and just your overall,
Mhm.
well-being. So that's, I was actually a victim of that too, because most people here in America, fall prey to that. And so I started researching though, just I took some time out of my day just to research what's in this, what's in that. And I began to research, even just in a loaf of bread, for example, there's at least 50 plus ingredients, at least. And a lot of these ingredients you can't even
Yeah.
pronounce. Most of them you can't even pronounce what they're saying, like what they are, what they mean. Like it's hard to even, decipher what each ingredient is. So yeah, that definitely just took a whole, total 180 for me. Like that made me do a total 180 with just how I would eat and what I would eat. And so when I really investigated each thing that I would eat and drink, it made it a lot easier to not do that, because a lot of the stuff in our foods and drinks literally has cancer, like cancer causing, chemicals, agents, a lot of preservatives, and a lot of artificial colors and dyes. And that's another thing I wanted to bring up, because I was actually diagnosed as a kid with ADHD. And a lot of these artificial dyes and colors can cause that and lead to that and contribute to that. So as I started, finding that out and learning that, I realized that was actually one of the causes of my ADHD and some of the stuff that I was diagnosed as a kid. And so I began just to take that stuff out of my diet or my, eating plan. So I would just get rid of sugar. I would get rid of a lot of the, Twizzlers, a lot of the
Yeah.
artificial colors and flavors that put me in that position mentally. Because it's crazy, because these artificial colors, they will actually cause mental disorders. And it's nuts, because a lot of that isn't allowed in Europe. Like
True.
in England, I think even in Portugal, Spain, like
Yeah,
it's not
we have
allowed
all
there.
the
But
yeah
here in
we have all the
America,
same regulations from European Union.
yeah. And then here in America, it's like we got the FDA, but they only care so much because we still got a lot of, unhealthy things they pump into our foods and our drinks. And again, those artificial dyes and colors, that leads to ADHD, OCD, a lot of other, unwanted mental disorders. And it can go beyond that. Obviously, it can cause cancer and other diseases. So it's really, really important, that people do research what they're eating, what they're drinking, because that's something that I found out that was really just important for me, because I actually got my mental health affected by not caring about what I was eating and drinking. But honestly, I wouldn't even say it's necessarily that I didn't care as much as I just was not informed all
Yeah,
the way. So, yeah, but as I began to research it, I'm like, this is crazy. Like what we're eating on a daily basis and what we're drinking on a daily basis is totally nuts. So that made me do a total 180 with how I would eat, how I would drink just from day to day with my overall well being. And then also, too, another thing, my grandpa, someone I was really, really close to in my family. So we would always do a lot of things together. We would meet up halfway. Sometimes he would drive all the way down, like several hours down from where he was in Wisconsin. And we would meet at a place called Branson, Missouri. And that's where we would go on roller coasters, see, events, things like that um, around the city. And what's really cool about that is there in Branson, you can actually do a lot of things for the
hmm
holidays. And so that's what we did around Christmas and Thanksgiving, especially. But what was really sad is we had such a great, great connection and a relationship, as family. But what happened was he was a heavy sugar addict, and that was one of the main causes of him getting cancer. And so I found that out through my mom's brother, actually. So basically,
hmm
my uncle, and he told her about the event, just the tragic event, and it made it hard. It made it hard for me, at first when I found out from my mom, because I didn't know right away, but when I found that out, it definitely took a toll on me. And I really just was shocked before anything. My first emotion was just being purely shocked. I'm like, this is so random. This is so sudden. I mean, like most deaths, that's usually how it is, but it made it difficult. It made it difficult to cope with and deal with. And yeah, so after that happened, it just put me in a dark spot, in a dark place mentally, emotionally, and it made it hard to want to keep going. Now, of course, I was still exercising to not just be healthy still and consistently continue that, but also for my,
yeah.
mental health and to help cope. I still try to work out to cope with that, but I still had that dark mental spot I was in after he passed away. So that made it really, really rough. But in addition to that, you know, it made it hard to even want to sometimes get up in the morning, like when you have that with your family, anyone in your family or anyone at all that you know and love, when they pass away, It's a really really tough spot for a lot of people. But yeah, what ultimately happened then was I actually used that pain for fuel. So I used that pain for fuel because I realized he was a sugar addict. I was a sugar addict too, which was crazy. But I realized I didn't want to go down that same path.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go down that same route, that same path that he did. Because of that, I want to make a total change for my health. So not just with my workouts, but now I want to focus on what I'm eating and better my
Yeah.
health.
So you started your journey with the physical exercise that and you mentioned one thing that is really interesting for me, because normally when we think about physical exercise, we majority of the people think about only losing weight, and you talk about the opposite way, the gain weight, because you were really skinny. And I really resonate with that, because when I started, it was not that I started physical exercise to gain weight, but it was always because I was also really skinny when I was young, and it was also something that really impacted my confidence at the time. And and thinking
Definitely.
about the physical exercise, um, to that, of course, that when you start doing physical exercise, and mainly you start with the weights, you start seeing differences in physically in your body. But the main difference that I saw was in the confidence, because today I could do something with this specific weight that I couldn't do before. So the for me, physical exercise is much more than the physical differences that we see. And it's really interesting when you talk about this, because it really resonates with me, because it's physical exercise is much more than this physical part. But of course that, and this, what you said, that it gets to a certain point that, okay, physical exercise is really good for us, but we need to take care of the other stuff. We need to take care about nutrition, we need to take care about the mental health, because everything is connected. Even if
Definitely.
we try to put things in small boxes, like this is physical exercise, this is mental health, this is nutrition, but all of them are connected, and all of them are bi-directional, and they affect each other. You were saying in the beginning that your physical exercise journey started also um, by the inspiration of of your brother, and your nutrition journey started because you were highly motivated because of your grandfather. Uh, what do you see that is the biggest difficulties that your clients have when building a healthy relationship, both with nutrition and with exercise?
Yeah, for sure. The biggest difficulty is breaking bad, unhealthy habits that they've had for so long. So, really, just getting out of eating a lot of sugar, getting away from eating a lot of sugar. But then also, too, what I found is really difficult for them is staying motivated and consistent in the beginning with working out. Because when you're not used to a consistent, dedicated workout plan or schedule, it's really hard to just jump into it and just go all in and go all out. So that's something that they've struggled with a lot in the very beginning. Obviously not really later on, but in the very beginning. And then also too with their eating habits, just getting away from that sugar again. So because that sugar is really addicting,
Yeah.
I know from personal experience, you might even know, but a lot of people that have sugar, it's basically a drug, it's studies have shown even that it's more addicting than a lot of the heavy, hard drugs
Yeah.
that people can consume. So that's just one of those things that a lot of my clients have struggled with at the very beginning is tapering off of that sugar and getting away from it
Yeah.
and then just really eating better.
Yeah, because I think the problem with sugar is that it's not only that it's the habit of eating, but it's the addictive part, the chemical part that is addictive. And the thing,
Oh yeah.
and when comparing sugar with the other kinds of drugs, the problem is that the other kinds of drugs we know, and everybody knows that is bad, and the sugar, there is still the maybe it's not that bad, maybe because it's showing on television, it's showing on social media, maybe it's not that bad. So we don't recognize how bad it is. And of course, because we don't recognize how bad it is, then okay, maybe if we eat just once, or maybe if we are a little bit stressed, maybe we can eat a little bit of sugar. So I think this is another thing, that is not only the it's our mindset about sugar that also turns it to be even more difficult to change this habit.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's really crazy the chemical addiction that it creates in your brain when you consume sugar, especially in higher amounts, and you do that every day. Your body comes it becomes so accustomed to it. And then also, yeah, your brain's literally thinking that's what you're needing to have every day. The more you consume it,
Yeah,
and yeah, the more you consume it, the harder it gets to get off of it.
yeah. And what do you think is the some strategies that people can use to start breaking these cycles?
Yeah, for sure. Some things I found that are really, really helpful and really effective. Not just for myself, going through this, but also a lot of the clients I've had. Something I found that's very effective for them and very helpful is honestly just realizing that it's progress over perfection. First and foremost, realizing it's a process. Don't expect perfect results, and don't expect to be 100% consistent and perfect all the way through, especially starting out. So that's one thing. But then after that, after they get their mindset right on that, I have them just honestly take out as much added sugar as they can in the beginning, taper off, and then try to replace that with more natural sugars like fruit, especially. So let's say, for example, they're addicted to some kind of candy that
Yeah,
has, sour apple, blue raspberry type flavor. You could replace that with apples, blueberries, blackberries, things like that, that are actually pretty sweet, that taste similar, but that obviously are a lot healthier.
yeah,
So that's one of those key ways that I found is really helpful. Pineapple also is great because it's really high in sugar, but it's a natural sugar. It's fructose, not sucrose.
yeah,
So that's one of those ways too. Just basically replacing and tapering off the added sugar, tapering off added sugar and replacing with natural sugar found in fruits, veggies, but mainly fruits. So that's one key way.
yeah,
And then, of course, also getting their mindset right. And that's everything.
yeah.
That's honestly two of the most very effective strategies that I've found that are really, really helpful.
Yeah, yeah. I think the first one is because when we are trying to change an habit, it's really important not only to define, okay, what are we going to take it out, but okay, what are we going to bring in? So are we taking out
Exactly.
the candies? Okay, but what are we? Because if we only think about the restriction part, our brain doesn't like it. So we need something to
Yeah.
add. So okay, let's give a little bit of let's give something, so our brain don't think about only the restriction part. And then the second point is the mindset, of course, that when you have the mindset, like the example that you were saying, that if don't expect that everything needs to be perfect the first time. Don't expect that you cannot fail, because of course that it's normal that you fail, because if you are used to eating sugar 7 days per week, you cannot expect to don't eat sugar any day of the week. So you need to
Oh,
expect
yeah.
some in between. So you, and this mindset of how the person will deal with a failure, that is applicable not only for health habits but everything in life. I think it's really important, and I agree with you that this is two um, strategies and two important points that need to be taken care. And in a,
Yeah.
I'd say in an opposite way of the spectrum, what do you see the most common characteristics that you see in people that succeed in building healthy habits?
Yeah, some of the common characteristics, honestly, are those people that don't beat themselves up. A lot of the people that try to diet better or diet healthier or just eat better and eat healthier, because I don't usually like using the word diet. So, those people that just like to eat healthier and live healthier, those people are usually the ones that understand it's okay to have a setback. It's okay to cheat a little bit, and even honestly, for the long term, it's okay to have one cheat meal a
Yeah,
week if you want to. But honestly, just realizing that, to take most of it out of your diet, if not all of it, is important. But then realizing along the way, if you mess up, don't beat yourself up, because that's what a lot of people do when they're trying to start a new, diet or a new just way of eating. They try to just beat themselves up the moment that they snack just a little bit. And then from there, mentally, it just makes it almost impossible to keep going because they're so hard on themselves mentally. And so when they're that hard on themselves mentally, it makes it, again, like dang near impossible to see it through because
yeah,
they're always on themselves. And then mentally, it makes it feel like they can't ever get there and they can't ever have a healthier, eating habit or eating habits. So that's something that I found is really, really effective. Those people that, are eating healthier and that are more consistent with it, those people are not beating themselves up every day about it, and they give themselves time to grow. They
yeah,
give themselves time to get out of those bad habits into better, healthier habits.
yeah. They,
That's a huge
yeah,
characteristic.
they accept the blocks on the journey. Let's say, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. And because of course that some many of your clients must face some deeply ingrained, not only the habits but some rooted beliefs about themselves or about the how the world works, that could be influencing this breaking the bad habits. What do you think, what strategies do you use for helping people break these old beliefs about themselves or about the world?
Yeah, for sure. So one of those, beliefs that a lot of people have that's pretty limiting to say the least, one of which being that healthy eating or eating healthy is too expensive. So honestly, eating healthy, it can be a little pricier than not eating, healthy. For example, a fast food restaurant is probably going to cost more than, even something really healthy at the grocery store. However, what's cool though is you can still find healthy foods and healthy options to get even at the grocery market for not that much more. And then also, I have them realize while it might be a little more, in the long run, you're going to pay less
Yeah,
because you're actually paying a little bit more, but you're being healthier. So you're not going to have to worry about, anything medically related, any potential medical, responsibilities or cost. Obviously, medical costs vary from country to country. Sometimes it's not that much in Europe, which is good. That's how the
yeah,
US should be. But as far as here in the US, especially in America, I really explain that to a lot of my clients that you might be paying more upfront for eating healthier,
yeah,
but at the same time, you're actually going to be paying less in the long run because you're not going to really have many health problems, if any. So
yeah,
it's going to really decrease all that, from happening. Plus, your health is wealth. So if you have your health, then you actually pay less just with your time and your energy than if you would if you're not healthy, because it's really, really bad and it's really complicated and it's really costly just for your time because time is money. So when you're sitting in a hospital room, not able to do much and your health isn't really up to par, that's really, really negative for one's life. And honestly, that's what I found is really important to, let these people know, people that aren't my clients and people that are my clients. And so that's a huge negative, belief that a lot of people, grow up with,
yeah,
that healthy eating is just too expensive, it's too costly, but it's really not if you think about it. It's actually a lot cheaper in the long run.
yeah, yeah, it's true. And of course that if you think as you were saying, not only that maybe the difference, it's it's slightly higher to eat healthy, but if you think about the long term, not only the lifespan but the wealth span, it's
Oh
completely
yeah,
different. And
100%.
yeah, and not only that, but also when we don't eat well, maybe we cannot focus enough. And if we cannot focus enough, we, instead of 1 hour and a half, it take us 2 hours to do something, or it take us 2 hours and a half and more. And also the amount of sugar could have an impact on our hormones. We could be more reactive with the people around us, and we could somehow damage our relationship. So it's have a lot of factors that it's it seems that they are a little bit high, but they have an impact, maybe an indirect impact, but they have an impact. And eating healthy is not doesn't need to be expensive, and if we add the long run, even less expensive it is. And
Oh yeah.
one thing that you mentioned in the beginning was also that and mainly I think in US but also in Europe, is not only that people have the thought that eating healthy it's more expensive, but also eating healthy have it's too much work, because it's more, it's not only that it's more it's cheaper to go to McDonald's. And when you say McDonald's, we can say whatever fast food, it's cheaper to go to a fast food, but it's also more practical because it's faster. It's you need to wait like 10 minutes for a burger. And if you want to go to a healthy place, maybe it's slightly more expensive, but also you need to wait a little bit more time. So I think also people, I also see some people that have this ingrained belief that being healthy it gives too much work to do.
Yeah.
You also see
Yeah.
this? Yeah.
I've seen that a lot too. That a lot of people, clients or not, or non-clients for me,
Yeah.
clients or non-clients will actually think that healthier eating takes a lot longer, and it usually does. It usually does for the most part. But what I found is really helpful is if you're one that wants to save some time, and this can help for certain people, but really just focusing on healthier ingredients, but then things that you can either microwave that are still relatively healthy, or things that you don't even have to cook. Maybe making, a healthier sandwich. And that's a great way to be on the go, not take too much time to make, a meal, but then also still be pretty healthy. And you can control what's in your foods too when you make your own food. So having, some whole grain bread, low sodium turkey, things like that. You could even grill a chicken breast and then put that on, the sandwich. But if you don't want to cook at all, save some time. What I found is really good having that whole grain bread, having some low sodium turkey or chicken, and then adding some kale or spinach, maybe a little Dijon mustard, and you're good to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I found is really good for saving time, but still eating relatively healthy.
Yeah. I think what is important is people be, because all of our actions have a consequence, and if people are aware of that, okay, they are spending maybe 15 minutes or even half an hour more, but they the consequences of eating healthy, and on the opposite way, okay, you are saving, let's say, 15 minutes, but what are you compromising? What are you compromising today on your health? What are you compromising in the long term? And when I think if people are more conscious about the consequences and the impact of either sugar or not doing physical exercise, I think, I believe, maybe I live in a fairy tale, but I believe that people will take more more right actions and start prioritizing their health, because they can only prioritize their career or their family if first they prioritize their health. So I think this is a really important point.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. It's really important to just really be aware of what you're putting in your body because it really does not just affect your physical, like a lot of people contribute nutrition and eating habits to just their physical, which is correct to an extent, but it's also your mindset, your mental, and
Yeah.
your emotional. And that really does, it gets affected majorly by what you're eating, by what you're drinking, because certain foods will actually make you feel a certain way, and certain ingredients will affect, like I was saying earlier, your mindset could actually give someone ADHD if you're
Yeah.
consuming a lot of, you know, artificial colors and all these chemicals that they just pump in our foods, especially here in America. So really just being more conscious about what you're eating and what you're drinking it plays a pivotal part in your health for
Yeah.
sure.
Thank you again, Roman. Do I would like to ask you if you would like to share anything else with our listeners?
Yes, I would love to say this. A lot of people that are struggling with their consistency, motivation, and it's motivation. So a lot of people when they're trying to get started on a, certain fitness plan or even just to eat healthier, or a combination thereof. It's usually both, and that's what you got to have is both. But when people start that lifestyle and they attempt to start that lifestyle, they usually struggle with that motivation to get started.
Yeah.
So, what I like to tell people on how you actually can get motivated to begin with is to think about what's going to happen if you don't, work towards that goal. What is your health going to look like? What are you going to look like? What are you going to feel like if you don't take those steps and take those actions to actually bettering your health and working out, eating better, eating healthier? So that's a great way to actually reverse your mindset
Yeah.
into, yeah, just playing that reverse psychology game with yourself to get yourself in the game and get yourself in the zone. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I found that's really effective. And then also, too, I love to tell people because motivation does come and go, though. It still does.
Yeah.
And so that fire, you got to have that fire inside of you to actually want to get started, but it can actually kind of go in and out. So while motivation does that, the way to stay motivated and then to really be consistent is to have consistency. So you got to have a backup plan. You got to have a blueprint, a guide or strategy to help keep yourself going, even when that motivation is
Yeah.
kind of fading out. So keeping that, game plan in the background and then also remembering why you started will keep you consistent and then also keep your motivation higher.
Yeah, I totally agree with you with the 2 points that you said. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't. I don't have anything to add. Thank you again for sharing your insights and your stories with us today. It was a pleasure having you here with us. Do you want to share your website or your social media?
But yeah, if you want to connect with me one on one and yeah, just have a conversation, you can connect with me at Roman Fischer Official on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and even LinkedIn. And yeah, I'd love to have a conversation.
Thank you so much.